Alright, hey guys, what is up? If you are here, it's because you want to learn how to crochet. Whether that means you want to learn how to make a simple dishcloth, or you want to make something more complex and elaborate, like this. So, as you can see, crocheting can be quite rewarding. And so let's just go ahead and get started. If you would like to follow along, feel free to grab yourself some available yarn. If you don't have yarn, that's okay. What you can do is just find any material that you don't want anymore. Whether this is an old t-shirt, maybe it's a towel that has a stain on it, or something like that. And what you can do is just take some scissors or a knife or whatever you think would cut it. Sometimes you can even rip the fabric, but it just depends. For example, you don't want to try to rip something like satin because the way it's made is much more intricate, I guess. So you might do more damage to the material. But enough about that. Let's get crocheting. So you just cut it into strips, again, if just any material that you can find, or yarn. And then lastly, you'll need a crochet hook. I'm using this one, but honestly, if you don't have a hook, I'll try to do my demonstration like very big. This is a pretty chunky yarn, so I was hoping it would be easy to see, but just try to follow along with whatever you have available to you, and yeah, let's get to it. So first of all, you're going to take your yarn or material, whatever you have. For this sake, I'm just gonna say it's yarn because that's what I'm using. So anyway, you're gonna take it and make a loop, just a simple loop. And then next, just put it through that hole one time, and then through this hole again, twice. Alright, now next, you're just gonna kind of play around with it a little. Your goal is to get a knot started, and we call this a slip knot. So I'm just pulling it a little tighter on both ends. I like to kind of finagle the yarn sometimes, and you'll get used to it as you go, to holding it and everything. But so now we have a pretty good start to this knot here. We know that we can pull it tighter if we need it, but it's going to stay put if we pull on either end. So lastly, once you kind of get it knotted like so, get a little closer here. So you see I have two loops around this string, and those are going to create that beginning knot for us. So lastly is the step of just making it more secure. So I like to use this extra bit at the end and just do another loop and pull it through one time, and then pull it tight. But make sure that you get it to your adjusted tightness before this step, because before you do that last knot, because once you do it, this doesn't slide anymore. So, like, I kind of messed this up a bit, but yeah. So if you're a beginner, I usually just try to make it like as big as possible. So it's good for the demonstration. But anyways, we've got our first loop here. Now with crochet, you don't, actually I'm not really familiar with knitting, to be honest, but with crochet, you're gonna hold it, you know, look at my hook, if you have one, but you're gonna want to hold the short end here with your non-dominant hand, and you're going to take your tool, I'm using a hook, and you're gonna put it through the hole that you made, okay? And next, you wanna, it'll be like this, if you can see. So, you're gonna wanna have like a pirate finger here, and spin it, and then you're gonna loop this string right around the hook and pull it through, and then back up. So I usually kind of do like a swoop down like a hawk, pull it through and turn, down, through, up, down, through, up. Sometimes you have to finagle it a little, but you can see that it's just the same thing over and over again. So you've got your project being held by your middle and thumb, and then your pointer finger holding the string as you go. So then you have the tool just kind of to help you out. What really all the hook does is helps grab the yarn and pull it through. So if you wanted, you could do this just with your hands, but it would be a little more difficult. You could try, maybe, I've never really done this, but I think you could just use your finger. If you've got your hook, and you can just try to, yeah, it is tough because, but if you're doing big enough loops, I think that might work. At least for the chain stitch here, but it's going to be more difficult in the next step because this is the chain stitch, but the next row that we're going to do on our project, you can see, like if I were doing a scarf, this would be a good length, but I'm just gonna do a little bit less. So don't worry if you've made too many stitches, you can just pull them out, easy peasy. Just pull the string. So I'm just gonna do, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so my rule is usually that I do one more chain stitch than I want in each row. So like if I wanted to do 5 across, 5 stitches, I would chain 6. Because you're going to, in the next step, I'm gonna get my hook back here. In the next step, what you're going to do is skip this chain stitch that you just made, but find the second loop, the second stitch in that row, and push your needle through, or your tool through, okay? Just push it through the hole, and then loop it back through. So you have, at this point, 2 hooks. I don't know if you can see this very well, but I'm gonna loop it around, and then, see that? I brought it through both stitches, and it creates this 2 stitch on the, So we're just going to do the same thing again and find the next stitch, push it through, yarn over. That's what we call just putting more yarn on the hook. So loop it around again and pull it through. See that? Now we're going to find the next one, push it through, hook it, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull it through, find the next one, push it through, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through. You see, the more times that you yarn over before you pull the thread through, the larger your stitch is going to be. So, for example, in the first row we did, I don't know if you can see yet the pattern. I'll do, here we go, a little bit. You can kind of see that the stitches should look kind of like an X. So I'm just going to finish out this row. We're going to push it, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through once, yarn over, pull it through both. Now I'm at the end of my row. I ran out of stitches, so, or maybe I have one more. Yeah, I have one more. See, you gotta be really careful about getting to the end of the row, because sometimes it's tough to see how many stitches you have. A lot of the time I've had projects that I just, I lose track, and it ends up like being really uneven on the sides, which is fine. But you'll see that as you add more rows, as you move up, you'll be able to look back and see if you were consistent or not. But anyway, at the end of the last stitch, you're going to do another chain stitch, and that's just one of those stitches pulled through itself. So think of it like a chain stitch is one yarn over. If you're doing a single crochet, again, for the next row, you're going to skip the first one in the row, but then push it in the stitch, yarn over once, pull it through. But unlike, I guess it'd be a slip stitch if I were to just pull this through, but what we're going to do is yarn over again and then pull it through both, like we've been doing. And I'm just going to keep doing that. But one thing I want to mention too is you want to push through like both of these stitches. So you're gonna put it through like both on top. So just keep it kind of like, try to keep it straight up like this when you're doing it, because you want every row to be parallel to the one below it. That's just a tip on, I guess, how to keep your rows pretty even, which is what you want to see in most things, I assume. But anyway, practice makes perfect. Again, I'm just going on and putting it in both stitches, pulling it through once, yarn over again, pull it through both, push it into both, yarn over, pull it through once, pull it through twice. And we're at the end of the row, so we're going to chain one and then turn over your work, and that just means just literally flip it, and you're going to just keep repeating that pattern until you get to the desired length. So yeah, that is how the basics of crocheting. I hope you guys enjoyed. Who has questions?